Cowboy Joe used to say, ride the horse that brought you. Purdue didn't do it yesterday, and they left East Lansing with a loss, and their winning streak is over. Let's talk about it. Today's QuickCast is brought to you by Martin Vintage. MartinVintage.com, where if you enter BOILED at checkout, you'll get 20% off. Mom, thanks for watching. Your Boilermakers had a great run of 4 games, of course punctuated by the big win at Ohio State, and I joked with a friend yesterday while in East Lansing that if this was the trade I had to make, the Ohio State victory for the Michigan State loss, I'll gladly take it. Obviously, that's not a trade you have to make. I think they were sound enough to win. I just think Michigan State was better. I think Michigan State's coaches were better. I think Michigan State's offense looked better. I think Michigan State's defense looked better. And Michigan State really dictated the pace. That was the problem with the game. At the end of the game, when Michigan State was given the opportunity to salt away the game, you knew they would do it. I kept saying, this team is built for this. And sure enough, they had one play that busted open. The game was already over at that point. Purdue was going to lose. A few minutes earlier, Purdue was driving with a chance to win or tie with a field goal. Of course, that field goal was blocked, and it felt like, yeah, that kind of makes sense. That's what this game has been. Michigan State was tougher in the trenches on both sides of the ball, and that's really the biggest story. How big and strong they looked, how much they took the fight to Purdue, and how on their heels the Purdue team looked. Coach Holt did a good job dialing up a scheme that held Michigan State to 16 points for almost the entire game. That's plenty in this era of football. But the offense, on the other hand, really not the Purdue offense that we've been seeing the last few weeks. There was no rhythm. There was only one solid drive end to end, and honestly, it just didn't look like the same play calling that we've seen the last few weeks. It felt a lot like the play calling of the Eastern Michigan game. Like Coach Braun was holding his cards really close to his chest. I recall one gadget play. It depends if you call Wright's run, that jet sweep a gadget play, because of kind of the rhythm and the tightness of the formation and the way Wright got it. It was a little bit different. But the jet sweep attempt where Knox came from the left and Moore came from the right, and they did the duck down where it's worked before this season. That's really the only true gadget play. And one thing that we know is when Brom's succeeding with the gadget plays, he calls more of them. Versus Ohio State, there were 3 in one half, and then another one in the second half. Versus Michigan State, like I said, I count one true trick play. David Blau played poorly, but David Blau played poorly mostly because he had no space or time to do his job. The offensive line, for the first time in many games, wasn't protecting him very well. I think guys that are veterans on that line would tell you the same thing. I don't think I'm speaking out of turn. Blau took responsibility after the game because he said he didn't value the ball enough. Early on, David Blau was throwing the ball very poorly. In fact, as poorly as I remember him throwing it this year. I think he had 3 throws in a row that were either under or overthrown. He had another throw that should have been picked off by a Michigan State DB as he broke on it and didn't make the catch. And then he kind of went into a bit of a shell. I think he was completing 30 or 40% of his passes in that first quarter. That's obviously not good for Purdue's offense. Many people thought they'd see Elijah Sindelar come in as Blau struggled so much to move the ball, especially in the first half. Like I said, Purdue's only real drive, I think, came in the third quarter. Nice end-to-end drive that was fourth quarter, I think. Doesn't matter. An end-to-end drive that ended in a touchdown, and touchdowns were at a premium yesterday for Purdue especially. It just wasn't a good day. Rondale Moore looked like he was gripping a bit, really trying to put all the game on his own shoulders, and it yielded a loss that it just wasn't fun to be there, honestly. I was in East Lansing. The atmosphere was fine. Michigan State fans, for the most part, were good. I was in an area in the corner of the stadium where it was a lot of Purdue fans, which was nice. Wasn't that fun of a brand of football, but that's what Michigan State wants. They want their opponent to get into that grimy, grinded out type of game, and Purdue fell into the trap because Michigan State did what they do. They outmuscle you and they outfight you. The interesting thing is it looked like coming in, Purdue had all the momentum on their side, and they had a lot of personnel issues on their side as well, because Michigan State had major injuries to deal with as it started a new quarterback. Purdue's defense really allowed Lombardi to get into a rhythm and get a lot of confidence. They let him run when he wanted to. They let him have plenty of time to complete passes, and that's the big deal. Those blitz packages that had been so effective in the previous weeks, getting a pop on the quarterback when you needed it, they weren't there. I think they only got 2 or 3 really good shots on Lombardi, and that's the type of thing that really gives a young quarterback a lot of confidence and the ability to get into some rhythm. Even if their rhythm is ugly, which Michigan State's offense is pretty ugly, it was a lot prettier than Purdue's. Tough day. Thanks for tuning into the wrap-up. As I look out my window, it's beautiful outside. I mean, it's the leaves are falling. It's a gray sky, and it's nice and cool. Enjoy your family. Have a great Sunday. God bless you. BS all the time.